Don Cabela's here from Four Dog Stove, and I'm here at beautiful Camp Miller in Sturgeon Lake, Minnesota, at the Winter Camping Symposium. I'm here with my good friend Tom Junro from Maine, and Tom is as accomplished wilderness travel as I know. I mean, he has done multiple winter trips, long distance trips, even up in Labrador with the Conovers, and himself. Also, at 64, he's one of the few people, which is under 200, that is what they call the Triple Crowner, which means he's walked the Appalachia Trail through, walked the Pacific Crest Trail all the way through, and then last year at the age of 63, he did the Continental Divide Trail. And I was thinking with that 10,000 or more trail miles, I would say, over your lifetime.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, over my whole lifetime, yeah.
Well, what would you say, from all your experience, would you say would be good advice, good lessons learned that you could share with somebody either thinking about doing it, having done it? What have you found that's made a big difference of you being able to be successful in doing those hikes? What would you like to share for the folks?
Well, you certainly need some skills, and I encourage people to take advantage of wherever they might learn about skills in their local area. Like, I really learned a lot of skills through my 15 years of attending winter weekends in November in Fairleigh, Vermont with the at the Snow Walkers Rendezvous. You're hearing some of the most experienced people in northern United States talk about fascinating trips that they take on their own into the wilderness, and I think that's what really surprised me is to meet people who look like ordinary individuals. They don't look super buff. Many of these folks might not even look physically fit, but I would encounter them, and we've talked about some of them. And you'd ask them, well, you guys, what have you been up to the past year? I haven't seen you. And then you'll hear them say, oh, I was kind of up in the Northwest Territories, or I was on the Porcupine River, and we were out for like a month and a half, unsupported. Didn't see anybody else on the river. And you just kind of start to think, wait a minute, do I want to sit at home and watch TV on the couch? Is that my life for the next 5 to 10 years? So I started by just going outside, and I used to do some backpacking when I was younger, and then I slowly got back into it after my kids were grown up, and I worked pretty hard at my job. And then I started going on shorter trips, and then my life's dream from when I was 17 was to hike the Appalachian Trail. And at age around 55, I said to myself, you've been talking about wanting to do this for a lot of years. Unless you make a goal, you're going to keep saying, I'd like to do it someday. So I just nailed down a date, like 2 years in the future, like 2007, I'm going to hike the Appalachian Trail. Started accumulating some money, and really didn't know anyone. I did it on my 57th birthday. It was the day I started out. And I'll have to say, it was a perfect fit for me. I know people talk about how difficult it is, how they want to quit, how hard it is to do the trail. Somewhere between 10 and 25% of people that finish the Appalachian Trail. I got homesick about 2 weeks into it, and I had a little bit of sob session on the phone with my wife, who kind of kicked my butt and said, you're not coming home, just you'll get over it,
Sometimes we need that little slap upside the head, don't we?
I really appreciate her, saying, you don't need to come home. I want you to think about this for a couple days, which took care of it. But after that, I loved every minute of being in the outdoors. I loved meeting people like you and like the folks that I meet here. I loved just the repetition of the simple life. And what I really like about being outdoors on trips is you're not multitasking. I'm in my regular life, I'm like, on the phone, other calls are coming, thinking about tomorrow. When you're on the trail, I'm cooking now. This is what I'm doing.
You're definitely in the moment.
You're in the moment.
Yeah.
You really got to be in the moment to do well with this stuff. You can't be worried about the future. That's another big thing, but it took me until my last hike to learn that. You don't want to be running tapes of the things that might go wrong, or you've heard there's a bad stream crossing coming up, and you've heard that maybe some people get washed out. You can't be letting those kinds of fears start to grow in you, because it's hard enough every day. It really is difficult moving when you don't want to. But bringing it back to just, here's where I am right now. I'm on the shore of Sturgeon Lake. I'm loving this right now. This is the moment right now, is kind of my mentality. I'm a big fan of it could be worse. That's helped me get through a lot of situations. And being in the present, it could be worse. Those are my two biggest mental preparations. And rather than driving yourself to keep pushing, I've changed. I really changed in the last year.
Transformations from even from all the 3 hikes, haven't you?
I am much more willing to be adaptive, flexible. Improvisation is my new mantra. No, it's not about grit, determination, pushing. It's like, if you're going against the current and the current is pushing you back, you might need to even go backwards for a couple of days in order to go forward.
Right.
So I think
adaptability, flexibility.
Yeah, this is really useful to me right now. As you age, you need to do that anyhow. Right. You can't do what you used to do, and if you keep trying to push and do that, you're setting yourself up for some real, I think, hardship.
Right, and I think you could not just failure, but also damaging yourself when it's not necessary. Like I think if you say sometimes go 2 steps back to go 1 step forward, but then you can reevaluate and you can adapt and overcome.
Yeah.
And you're also proving, you finished that at the age of 63, that, hey, it's possible.
Yeah.
And, And I think the importance is, we discussed a great deal, is how much you just got to stay active. You got to, even if it's gardening,
absolutely,
taking walks, all that is so important. So we can keep that quality of life and do the things we really enjoy doing longer. As we're doing it. And I think especially, some of the younger people watching will say, well, you guys are a couple of old parts. But I think even for the younger people, the more they being active, because like you said, when you were younger, being active definitely helped you to continue being active and do some real adventures that even young people would look at and say, wow, they'd be overwhelmed. So I think that's a lot of life lessons. Your last, I remember the one thing I remember when you were doing your Pacific Crest Trail, in that year that you did it, they had such long, late snow cover. So you guys had a really difficult time.
And I'll talk about that in my presentation tonight.
And I remember you called me and you were pretty down and you're looking at, boy, I think you just got to Oregon.
I didn't think I was going to make it.
And you didn't think you were going to make it. And you were going like, Don, hey, I'm going to have to cover 28 miles a day. And I'm not going to have hardly any layover days. And I don't really know I can do that.
I remember that.
And I know I said to you, hey guy, you're going downhill now. You made it this far. Suck it up. You can do it. And I remember you, by golly, you did. You're doing those 28-mile days. I mean, this is in mountains. You got up to Washington. It was really wet. It was rainy.
Really
but
miserable.
by golly, you went through and did it. And I think that I think you're really, for me, you're a role model. And I think anyone, if you look at that, you didn't quit. You slowed down. You looked at it. You realized what you had to do, and you decided, okay, I'm going to do this, and you did it.
It's like hitching up the plow, Don, isn't it, with the mules? Sometimes there's rocks in the way, but you kind of bounce off them. At least you're hoping and then you're going in the right direction with that, throwing that sod.
Right. So, well, I really appreciate you coming, and it's been wonderful, and really looking forward to your presentation tonight. And, the sharing.
I hope to be entertaining.
Your adventures is always a great joy to me.
Thank you.
Thanks.